art attack came very shockingly. When I started, I had a problem with the concept of. I will agree that I've definitely thought about things like
वही
that. So वो let's say in this case art attack related questions पूछने से मतलब definitely
मैं
that's a
मैं
big
समझ
part.
रहा हूँ मैं समझ रहा हूँ
But so मैं वही बोल रहा था जो warm up हम बोल रहे थे ना
हाँ हाँ
that warm up itself could have more interesting things than the
श्योर
actual
श्योर
so-called questions.
बिल्कुल what I've started doing now is पिछले कुछ एपिसोड से that I do not sit down with a set of questions या कोई भी topics. I just have a rough idea. मैं background check तो करता ही हूँ obviously, and so I know what my guest is up to, and then I
Mhm.
let the conversation lead wherever it does. क्योंकि questions में दोनों ही limit हो जाते हैं. मैं limit हो जाऊंगा, आप limit हो जाओ, फिर वो PR curated interview सा हो जाएगा, which is something both of us don't want.
Yeah, yeah.
हाँ तो नहीं, you were about to say something.
No, no, no.
Okay, so when I was, going through your website, it is a very, very beautifully curated website. It is very simple to go through. तो आपका काफी ऐसे पोर्टफोलियो सा दिख जाता है एंड इट वाज अ रेवलेशन टू मी क्योंकि आफ्टर माय आर्ट अटैक डेज मैंने व्हाट कितने 10-12 साल बाद आई सॉ योर ऑनलाइन प्रेजेंस एंड आई वाज लाइक वाओ क्योंकि वो बहुत ही एक्सटेंसिव है। तो एएलएक्स अफ्रीका है, उसमें प्रोलॉग है, आपका बायजूस में स्टिंट है, जैसलमेर का स्टिंट है। So there is a lot for us to talk about, obviously. Art Attack being a big part, Prologue being a big part. I'm काफी interested about Prologue. Seems like a brainchild of yours. तो आपका कॉल है. Where do you want to start this off from?
I think starting at prologue is good
Mm-hmm.
since brought it up. So prologue is not just my brainchild. It's along with my partner and wife, Sweetie.
Mm-hmm.
She's an industrial designer. She's a scholar,
Okay.
and she would like to become a design ethicist. Matlab, even I ask her, "Okay, what does it mean?" But yes, I see her quest into the world of design and culture.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a brainchild of ours, and we bring different energy to the initiative. And एक intention ये था कि we want to collaborate with other people, therefore it's called a collective. और
Mm-hmm.
दूसरा side ये है कि the love we have for design and art and culture, if we can sensitize and bring that awareness to the larger the world, you can say, not just the population. But yeah, so it's an open-ended quest which we are continuing, and we find some professional services go into designing curriculum and courses, which I do with ALX Africa, which I did with Byju's, right? And these are more organized, structured professional
Mm-hmm.
courses for different age groups. Like with
Mm-hmm.
ALX Africa, I'm creating a bunch of courses for age group around 18 to 27, 35,
ठीक है.
age group. And yeah, and for other, then we work with universities, with design students, with aspirants who would like to know
Mm-hmm.
more about design. And yes, and culture is something that we keep bringing in, which means कि हम भारत में हैं, हम भारतीय भी हैं, let's say, right? But one is we all come from a particular, let's say, culture which itself has like 1,000 layers, right? तो हम भी अपने कल्चर को
Totally.
उतने तरह से समझते नहीं है, दूसरे कल्चर्स को तो भूल
Mm.
ही जाओ, दूसरे स्टेट को भी भूल जाओ, मतलब दूसरी सिटी
हाँ.
को भी, बिकॉज द थिंग इज कि हम उतनी लेयर तो हमने अपने ही कल्चर की वो नहीं करी है. तो व्हाट वी डू इज
Mm-hmm.
we design exercises and explorations for students and learners. वो वाले
Okay.
एस्पेक्ट भी ब्रिंग इन एंड वहां पे सेंसिटाइज करने की कोशिश करते हैं. एंड दिस हैपेंस
Mm-hmm.
थ्रू real life immersion, which means we might go to a particular place, observe, talk, take notes, sketch, and document data from primary interviews and research, and then we bring it all together in different formats. Like it could become a film, it could become a document, it could become a research paper, it could become an music or art, could be anything, right? So yeah, so in gist, that is the kind of stuff we are doing with Prologue.
Which is a wonderful vision, but for a layman अगर इसको boil down करें तो इसकी functioning कैसे करते हैं? Is it an organization that teams up with schools और उनके लिए modules वगैरह prepare करते हो? वो functioning कैसे काम करती है?
So, like anything else, बहुत different तरह से we can work with different organizations. a lot of organizations reach out to us saying that this is our objective and this is what we want to do. And then we curate and customize the whole experience for them.
समझ गया.
That is, so far we have not rolled out our own programs, like,
Mm-hmm.
that we run, that you come and, but that is in the process because we're still building our studio um, in
Okay.
Dehradun. But the thing is, what I have realized is na space हमारे लिए limitation नहीं है, because we
Mm-hmm.
can create that space anywhere we go.
Mm-hmm.
So while a solid space would be lovely to have, but that's a little long-term goal. But
Mm-hmm.
so far what we do is हम जहाँ पे भी जाते हैं we utilize the local resources and वहाँ पे हम एक experience create करते हैं learners के लिए.
मैंने I've talked to a bunch of people, तो मैंने बॉलीवुड में लोगों से बात करी. I've talked to actors, singers, and everyone is very passionate about their craft. Lastly, I had hosted an assistant choreographer. Her name is Ananya Bera. So she had worked in Dhurandhar और बहुत movies में काम करा है. तो क्रिएटिव लोगों के साथ होता है that they are extremely passionate about their craft. एंड यूजुअली मैंने जितने क्रिएटिव लोगों से बात करी है उनका जो अरीना ऑफ वर्क होता है दैट इज लाइक सिंगिंग या एक्टिंग विच इज मोर डिफाइंड. मैंने किसी को डिजाइन के बारे में इतना पैशनेट पहली बार देखा है. एंड बिकॉज लाइक जेन्युइनली मैंने आपके बाकी पॉडकास्ट भी देखे. आई वेंट थ्रू सम ऑफ योर टेड टॉक्स एज वेल. एंड इतना लाइक यू रीक डिजाइन फ्रॉम एवरी पोर ऑफ योर बॉडी. ये डिजाइन के बारे में जो स्पेसिफिकली हिट किया, कैसे किया, and how was that jump? Because this is not a very conventional route someone would take. I need to pick your brains on that.
Okay, so ये बोल सकते हैं कि एक line of initial thread था because I wanted to become, I loved animation, so very early on in my
Hmm.
child, like I would like to turn this into my profession because all other so-called profession like medical and engineering and law,
Hmm.
etc. Nothing attracted me. Rather there was a more repulsion. मतलब वो करने का मन ही नहीं करता था
समझ गया.
because like final goal ठीक है लेकिन जो path है ना, like going through extensive books, it's not about knowledge,
हाँ,
not about learning, it's about books. मतलब specific
समझ
that
गया.
medium की इतनी मोटी किताबें हैं, आपको ये चाट के रट के वॉमिट करना पड़ेगा. मतलब ये
हाँ.
प्रोसेस तो मुझे बिल्कुल पसंद नहीं है. So I would rather not do that at all because you can't fight the system. I learned that early on
Hmm.
in my कि
Hmm.
सिस्टम से फाइट नहीं कर सकते हैं ज्यादा because no matter what age you are in, system is always
वही वही
like
वही.
people, a lot more money, a lot more resources, and um, yeah, stronger community, let's just say. But so animation I had decided, and then I wanted to pursue that, so I started learning animation in my school by myself. 3D Studio Max was the software I was learning, and then I wanted to go abroad, but due to lack of clarity, and I did not want to put my parents through that much
Hmm.
financial, right? Well, यार इतना इस route से again, what's the point of studying when they have to really sell off things to make me study
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
that much? Then I went to Mumbai. I learned 3D animation as a certificate course. उसके बाद मैंने I started working as a 3D animator. This is right after school.
Hmm.
Then I got to know about NID Ahmedabad, and my sister told me because she also went to NID, and she's like, "This is a lovely,
अच्छा, okay.
brilliant. So for animation especially, so you should come here." Then I applied, did not get through, applied again, and then I got into the college. Right. I think जो design इतना बाहर आ रहा है, that is the one reason because of that space. I think.
Hmm.
एक तो एज अ बडिंग क्रिएटिव जिसके पास उतनी नॉलेज या फिर आर्टिकुलेशन या फिर क्लैरिटी नहीं थी, दैट प्लेस गिव्स यू अ ब्रिलियंट स्पेस टू टेक ओनरशिप ऑफ दैट क्रिएटिव वर्ल्ड इन दैट सेंस, राइट.
Hmm. Hmm.
जो इनका लेंस है फ्रॉम एनआईटी, दैट्स अ डिजाइन फिल्टर और लेंस बिकॉज
ठीक है.
something can become a science, something can become art, something can become design, and something can become like these are human constructs. तो ऐसे नहीं बोल सकते हैं
Hmm.
कि that's design is everything because that's a particular way of thinking. But I found the best mix of the middle path, which is it has the best thing of every world, too little limitation, and जो भी limitation
Hmm.
है भी वो बहुत valid limitations हैं, and it has right amount of philosophy, it has the right amount of art, it has the right amount of everything. All inclusive बोल सकते हैं.
हाँ,
Okay,
हाँ, हाँ.
so science versus art वहाँ conflict नहीं होता है because you can clearly see what is coming from where and Designers are basically वो और it hits my general human logic very well. मुझे लगता है ये तो
ठीक
बहुत
है।
बेसिक लॉजिक है. इसमें कुछ ऐसा नहीं है कि कुछ पढ़ा रहे हैं कि आपको एक अलग ही फिलोसफी करनी है. Just how naturally things should be done and for a
ठीक
very
है,
good
हाँ हाँ।
reason. ठीक है, तो इसलिए वो डिजाइन has become a part of our lives.
हम्म
Designer and क्योंकि एनआईडी में एक डिफरेंस ये है कि अपार्ट फ्रॉम द टेक्निकल स्किल्स दे माइट गिव यू बट द
हम्म
हेवी एम्फेसिस on human life, on human emotions, on human experiences, a lot of ethics, a lot of moral duties and stuff like that, and it is not
हम्म।
part of the curriculum, it's part of the community itself, right? तो उसके
वेरी
बाद
इंटरेस्टिंग।
हाँ, तो इसलिए मतलब हम गरीब रह गए हैं थोड़े से because because the thing is when you put too many principles on yourself, then there's so many things you cannot do or the way you cannot
मेक्स
do.
टोटल सेंस।
You understand? तो वहां पे while we might be मतलब ठीक है, थोड़े हम बातें ज्यादा भी करते हैं, ठीक है, उस मामले में because people can be cynical also, right? मतलब वो भी एक कौन हो सकता है पूरी सिचुएशन का.
बिल्कुल
बट
बिल्कुल।
I find the design community to be a lovely community because you can have soft conversations with them. You can have hard conversations with them also. You can be as technical sometimes if you're meeting the right person, or you can be as abstract with them as well. तो वो बहुत एक अच्छा mix मिलता है conversations के लिए. And intellectual community and yeah. So now
डिजाइनिंग कम्युनिटी है तो बहुत प्यारी हो, मुझे दिख रहा है।
हाँ, नहीं, बढ़िया है, बढ़िया, काफी अच्छी कम्युनिटी है. एंड मैंने जैसे बोला ना कि वो बहुत बेसिक लॉजिक है, तो डिजाइनर्स कुछ ऐसा
हम्म
रॉकेट साइंस का काम नहीं कर रहे हैं, कुछ कर भी रहे होंगे,
हम्म
बट अदरवाइज आई एम सेइंग इतनी इंटेलिजेंस तो एक सिटीजन के पास हो चुकी है. आई एम सेइंग,
हम्म।
यू नो
समझ गया।
एंड द ओनली डिफरेंस इज कि वी आर सेंसिटाइज्ड इनटू द सॉफ्टवेयर टॉपिक्स ऑफ ह्यूमन नेचर एंड नेचर इट्स.
हम्म। आप
सो
लिमिटेशंस की बात कर रहे थे बीच में, मतलब मेजरली लिमिटेशंस नहीं है, लेकिन जो लिमिटेशंस हैं भी वो वैलिड है। थोड़ा एक्सपैंड करोगे लिमिटेशंस के बारे में?
द थिंग इज डिजाइनर्स का काम है, दे आर नॉट आर्टिस्ट्स. यहाँ पे ना आर्ट वर्सेस डिजाइन का भी कॉन्फ्लिक्ट आता है. जो ट्रेडिशनल डिजाइनर्स हैं, स्पेशली फ्रॉम द कम्युनिटी आई एम फ्रॉम,
हम्म
एंड वहां पे जो ओल्डीज है ना, वो थोड़े से ज्यादा हो जाते हैं कि अरे नहीं, डिजाइन इज नॉट आर्ट, डोंट देम पुट देम इन द राइट सेम सेंटेंस, एंड दे गेट वेरी
ओके।
ऑफेंडेड. लाइक कोई बात नहीं है, वी
हाँ हाँ
एग्री.
हाँ।
डिजाइन में डिफरेंस है, व्हिच इज, let's say art is expression, which means if you want to create a piece of art, you can do anything, any medium,
ठीक
कुछ
है।
भी करना करो.
हाँ हाँ हाँ।
And that's a political debate कि what theme can be objectionable, what not. मैं तो उधर जाऊंगा भी
अच्छा
नहीं
ओके।
है.
हाँ 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 हाँ।
I'm just saying कि otherwise
वेरी
you have,
सेंसिटिव टाइम टू बी गोइंग देयर।
yeah. So I'm saying कि but आपके पास ideally एक artist के पास full right to expression होना चाहिए,
ठीक
because
है।
the stories between the canvas and that person वो बाकी दुनिया से cut off
हम्म
है, कोई implication
हम्म।
है नहीं, right? um, but design में we are designing for someone.
ओके ठीक है।
Okay,
समझ
it's
गया।
not about मुझे क्या पसंद है.
हम्म।
And when I get a brief, let's say I get a brief of designing a toothbrush,
हम्म।
तो ऐसा नहीं है कि मुझे कौन सा टूथब्रश पसंद है, नहीं. मतलब फर्स्ट यू
समझ
अंडरस्टैंड
गया।
कि
हाँ।
हायर किया है, वो कौन सा किसको टारगेट कर रहा है, व्हाट इज द ऑडियंस, ठीक है, उसकी डेली हैबिट्स क्या है. अब यहाँ पे जो सॉफ्ट एस्पेक्ट्स मैं बता रहा था ना, इफ
हम्म
इमेजिन योर ट्रेनिंग इज दैट यू स्पेंड अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम इन ऑब्जर्विंग पीपल, ठीक है,
हम्म
all kinds of people, and some people would be above your class, some people would be below your class. I'm just saying class
हम्म।
simply means like financially
फाइनेंशियल,
somebody
हाँ
has
समझ
things
गया।
that you don't have and other people don't have things that you have, and so there is
राइट।
a very different lifestyle, different philosophy, different belief system, habits, religion, सब कुछ आ जाता है उसके अंदर. तो आप वो अगर स्टडी कर रहे हैं उनकी डेली हैबिट्स की, और टूथब्रश कब कर रहे हैं, कौन सा टूथपेस्ट यूज,
हम्म
कौन सा टूथब्रश यूज कर रहे हैं, कितने महीनों सालों तक यूज कर रहे हैं, ठीक है, व्हाट हैपेंस आफ्टर द टूथब्रश इज डन, दे
हम्म।
यूज्ड, फिर क्या करेंगे उसका. आप पूरा जब लाइफ साइकिल समझेंगे और यू स्पेंड इनफ टाइम, तो एक तो आपके लिए ह्यूमैनिटी के लिए एक वैसी सॉफ्ट कॉर्नर बन जाएगा, बिकॉज यू हैव स्पेंड टाइम विद देम, राइट.
ठीक है, मेक सेंस। हाँ।
Because generally it's the distance which is causing more problem than
हम्म
proximity, right? So yeah, so the thing is, वहां से मेरा डिसीजन मेकिंग शुरू होगा. देन आई डिफाइन कि एक टूथब्रश इनके लिए है क्या. सो लाइक मेरे लिए टूथब्रश जो कंपनी बना रही है अलग है, पर उनके लिए कुछ और हो सकता है. मे बी इट्स द
हम्म।
मोस्ट वर्सेटाइल टूल. it is never thrown away because once you're done brushing, then
Hmm.
it can be used in the utensil kitchen में
Hmm.
चल रहा है,
Hmm.
बाथ में चल रहा है, फिर कहीं चल रहा है because as an invention तो brilliant that
Hmm.
a brilliant invention in that sense, right? It can brush things away.
Hmm.
So yeah, उसके बाद ideation होता है, उसके बाद then you will start actually putting down a single pencil on paper की दिखेगा कैसे. That comes
Okay.
much later. First, you have to
Right.
understand what a toothbrush is, what that person is whom I'm designing for.
Hmm.
Find a good middle ground where things work for that particular person. For the price range, that's a limitation, right? अगर मैं
Okay. Okay.
मार्केट
समझ
में
गया.
बनाता हूँ तो उसका प्राइस मुझे 15-20 रुपए 30 रुपए ही करना पड़ेगा, उसमें
Hmm. Hmm.
100 रुपए का टूथब्रश नहीं बना सकता उनके लिए,
Hmm.
right? Which means industrial processes which are there, what kind of plastic I can use, what kind of bristles I can use.
Hmm.
I can only use something that fits into that price range. So I have to always design in reverse. I don't
Hmm.
start and building and don't know where I'm heading. I
Hmm.
first understand all
Hmm.
the limitations and उसके अंदर मुझे design करना पड़ता है. So that's the
समझ गया.
pragmatic side. यहाँ पे sciences come in because material
Hmm.
science, um, economics, business, sales, pipeline, all those things start coming in, right?
समझ गया. हाँ.
So this is the other side. That एक side हम humans के साथ deal कर रहे हैं, एक side हम management and sciences के साथ engineering के साथ deal कर रहे हैं.
Hmm.
And last one is the training also into arts, which is this is where I have a problem with the conventional thinkers. कि art is not design. At least for entire visual aspect of design, color,
Hmm.
composition, line, form, कुछ कैसे दिखता है, characters कुछ दिख रहे हैं तो why does it look so cool,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Storytelling, which means what words can create what kind of meaning, semiotics,
Hmm.
um, all these things actually are coming from art itself. All right, the basis of color theory and everything artists have been exploring for eons, right? Design to abhi
Makes sense. हाँ.
aaya hai, it's a young child, and form study, line study, composition, all these are coming from art. So you cannot
ठीक है.
separate
Right.
कि art is not design. Art design is using every aspect of tool and techniques and knowledge base available in the world, and we are
Hmm.
just using it to give a good, valuable output which has least amount of fallouts. तो वो हम
Hmm.
consciously train हुए हैं उसमें sustainability and ecology and
Hmm. Hmm.
but industry में of course application में you know that those things go out of the window.
Right. Right. तो आई एम अज्यूमिंग डिजाइन एनआईडी में जब आप थे और डिजाइनिंग का एज स्टडी मटेरियल इन इन दैट सेंस, तो थियोरी बेसिस पे आई एम अज्यूमिंग यू आर स्टडिंग अबाउट थियोरीज की मार्केटिंग थियोरीज हो गई या डिजाइनिंग में कैसे एक चीज यू नो व्हाट इज द मोस्ट एफिशिएंट वे टू create something in a design and artistic sense of things. लेकिन tell me about what was there beyond the books when we were talking about designing community, वहाँ पे conversations कैसी होती थी, क्योंकि आई एम प्रीटी श्योर कि बुक से आई माइट जस्ट इवन आर्ग्यू कि बुक से ज्यादा ही इम्पैक्ट उन चीजों का रहा होगा थ्रू आउट योर टेन्योर इन एनआईडी. what were those conversations like?
So I don't know how much you'll be shocked or surprised. We don't have a single textbook in the as a part of the curriculum.
Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting.
As a part of the curriculum, ऐसा नहीं है. हाँ, आपके courses के end में लिखा हो सकता है कि you may refer to these books and all.
रेफर, हाँ हाँ हाँ, समझ गया.
Never a faculty will hold a particular book and say कि हम ये book पढ़ेंगे आज.
हम्म.
All right. So the concepts and theories that we do study, okay, they, हाँ, one that is coming from the teacher without a book. मतलब वो जाता है सीधा, they start off, and then they can give you reference material. Like I said, there are books we refer. For example, I'm from animation, so animator survival kit would become a book that we all are people talk about. So automatically, some of us will go and pick the book and start reading by our own, right?
समझ
But
गया.
there's no reference to any book in our assignments anywhere. So the assignments are
हम्म.
given by the faculty without a book reference, and they might give us a printout at max, or we have to down the assignment however we want to understand the assignment and then attempt it right there generally.
ओके.
The
ओके.
वहीं पे शुरू हो जाएगा and then they stay around. We are attempting it. Hours pass by, and then and then we all display our work, and then it's critiqued and it's talked about, and people put their views, and it's a very interesting
Mm-hmm.
conversations with which go by after that.
Mm. For someone
Uh,
who is a law student myself, books ना होना is a big thing क्योंकि we
and
are
we don't have
surrounded by
exams
books.
therefore. Can you
Sorry,
imagine? We don't have
क्या
exams,
बात? You do not have exams as well.
which means अगर books नहीं है तो exam. So वही मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि the concept of how do you attain intelligence and how do you attain a particular skill and you learn knowledge and
हाँ.
you become good at it and you are also able to apply it. ये पूरा लाइफ
Hmm.
साइकिल ऑफ नॉलेज बोल सकते हैं जो इंस्टीट्यूशन
Right,
करता
right.
है. We have done everything without. So yes, we all have read books. ऐसे नहीं बोल रहे हैं बुक्स नहीं
Mm-hmm.
पढ़ी. But I'm saying
Hmm.
books are not a part of formal training in that sense.
समझ रहा हूँ. हाँ, हाँ.
पढ़ के पढ़ाने वाला कोई थ्योरी कोई नहीं था. Like people know their stuff, for example, right?
Hmm.
तो and then exam नहीं है, but we do have juries. Jury में क्या है कि
Right. Okay.
you are standing in front of a panel of faculties. Some have taught you,
Hmm.
some have not taught you, and you display 6 months of your work for all the courses that you have been
Hmm.
through, right? And then you talk about what you have learned in the course, and then they will ask you more deeper questions to understand the depth of your knowledge.
Okay, okay, okay.
And they will
समझ गया.
also comment on the work you have done, and they might say, why did you do this? And if don't have a convincing answer, then they will grill me also on a particular point कि मैंने ये क्यों नहीं सोचा, मैंने ये
Hmm.
क्यों किया, मैं बिना सोचे क्यों करा. So your every
Hmm.
action is questioned in the process of
Hmm.
design, and that is precisely to make you understand that हम अपने मन से नहीं कर रहे हैं. We are using research, we are using insights, we are using commentary by recording, let's say a feedback of a family, and I
Hmm.
found my insight in that particular conversation ki wahi se solution. So that is the kind of format. So we don't have exam, we have juries, and we are
समझ
graded
गया.
upon, and we get subjective and objective like feedback. We do get a grade and all.
Hmm.
And then we next after 6 months, next semester we'll again have juries like that.
Hmm. A friend of one of my friends is वो फैशन स्टडीज का की डिग्री कर रही है. तो उनका भी मेरे ख्याल से सेम ही सिस्टम होता है. उनकी भी जूरीज होती है बिकॉज आई हैव हर्ड माय फ्रेंड टॉकिंग अबाउट इट. So they present like sort of a model of sorts about related to whatever their course is, and then they are grilled upon it और वैसा वैसा होता है. Which is a very आपकी आपकी पहली जूरी कैसी थी?
पहली चोरी मुझे याद भी नहीं है, मेरी मेमोरी बहुत बहुत फ्लीटी फ्लोटी है. बट हाँ, बट डर तो लगता है बहुत. मतलब पहली बार
हम्म.
आप फेसिंग आफ्टर 12th यू आर फेसिंग पीपल,
Right.
और जहाँ पे मतलब कोई भी सवाल आ सकता है ना. तो दैट इज इट्स अ चैलेंजिंग एक्सपीरियंस, एंड आई थिंक दैट प्रोसेस यू डू इट 8 times at least over the span of four
हम्म.
years So you're already prepared to face people when they're questioning you.
हम्म.
You know what I'm saying? तो हाँ, इसलिए बकर का जो एक स्किल है वो आ जाता है हमारे पास, बिकॉज यू ऑल्सो नीड टू लर्न हाउ टू फैफ योर वे आउट. आपने काम नहीं
हाँ, हाँ,
किया है,
हाँ.
क्वेश्चन कर रहे हैं, लेकिन आप बाहर कैसे निकलोगे इससे ना.
समझ
तो
रहा समझ रहा.
whether you call it lying, whether you call it faffing, मतलब थोड़ा हवा में कुछ चीजें बना के आप
हम्म.
भी लाइक कन्विंस करो सामने वाले को. तो
Right.
दैट्स स्किल एज वेल.
हम्म. Interesting. कोई.
Sorry, I wait.
ओके, ओके.
अच्छा, I lost your voice. Huh? Can you go back 10 seconds?
हाँ, हाँ, श्योर. मैं बस आपसे ये भी पूछ रहा था कि इज देयर अ स्टिकी सिचुएशन ऐसा जो आपको याद हो जूरी में या कहीं पे भी वेयर यू हैड टू लेट्स से फैफ योर वे आउट, आपने ना हवा में बातें करके निकाला हो?
सॉरी, बट मुझे ऐसे स्पेसिफिकली याद नहीं होगा.
ना, आई कैन इमेजिन, आई
पर
कैन इमेजिन.
मेरा वही प्रॉब्लम है मेरे पास कि a lot of time I don't have hard incidents and datas and events, क्योंकि मैं
हम्म.
I'm telling you, my memory is मैं काफी फ्रेश रहता हूँ. Every morning I wake up, it's like a new life. So
Nice. But one thing I can vouch for is that you've given people my age group a lot of memories, which kind of brings me to Heart Attack, and I'm sure आपने बहुत बातें इसके बारे में already करी हुई हैं. But this is just a fanboy moment for me more than a podcaster sitting down with a guest. क्योंकि those 3-4 years जब वो telecast हो रहा था, that was मतलब ठीक है, I am not one of the best guys when it comes down to art. ठीक है, मेरे से शायद एक सीधी लाइन भी ना बने. बट हार्ट अटैक बैठ के देखना सबको बहुत पसंद था। एंड व्हेन आई वाज डूइंग योर बैकग्राउंड रिसर्च, तो आई ऑलरेडी नो कि आप वहां तक पहुंचे कैसे थे एंड व्हाट वाज द होल जर्नी अबाउट इट। बट वुड यू वांट टू स्पिल समथिंग व्हिच यू हैवंट सेड कि वहां पे सेट्स पे क्या होता था, वो व्हाट वर योर 3 a.m. thoughts like when you were the host of Art Attack? Were there days ki you are probably stuck with something, या फिर maybe even to the extent of you do not feel like doing it? रात को 2 बजे अगर आप रूम में अकेले बैठे हो, what thoughts were you hit with back then?
नहीं, पहले तो आर्ट अटैक केम वेरी शॉकिंगली इन माय लाइफ। आई डिड नॉट
Mm-hmm.
एक्सपेक्ट, बिकॉज आई एम नॉट अ परफॉर्मर। मैं एक्टर भी नहीं हूँ, थिएटर भी कभी नहीं किया, मतलब वो क्राफ्ट मैंने कभी ट्राई नहीं किया। आई एम वेरी इंट्रोवर्टेड बाय नेचर। सो
Mm-hmm.
व्हेन इट केम, मैंने बोला ये करना चाहिए कि नहीं करना चाहिए, बिकॉज यू नो वी हैव नेवर थॉट अबाउट इट।
Mm-hmm.
But then your friends advise you also that you never know what happens if you go
Makes
in this
sense.
step, which is exactly what happened कि बहुत नई lines of inquiry चालू हो गई वहाँ
Mm-hmm.
से, trajectory only changed, and not in the way that most people would think, which
Okay.
means अगर आज तक आपने start किया है तो people will think अच्छा अब now you'll follow the TV path or the
हाँ हाँ हाँ
you know
हाँ हाँ.
handle or something around the social media or influencer etc.
Mm-hmm.
बट मेरा लर्निंग में चला गया बिल्कुल ही ऑफ,
हाँ
मतलब
हाँ.
एजुकेशन में चला गया बिकॉज ऑफ हार्ट अटैक स्पेसिफिकली। सो दैट इज इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग अबाउट लाइफ कि
Mm-hmm.
यू नेवर नो। एंड सो हार्ट अटैक में डेफिनेटली स्टार्टिंग में भी डाउट था। फिर व्हेन आई गॉट टू नो द काइंड ऑफ फॉर्मेट दे आर गोइंग टू फॉलो, एंड आई
Mm-hmm.
कीप टेलिंग दिस टू a lot of young audiences ki when you were little children, it is important to give imagination and wonder to children.
Mm-hmm.
वहां पे आपको लॉजिकल और रियलिस्टिक होने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है, ठीक है, बिकॉज दैट्स नॉट द एज। दैट
Right.
एज विल कम व्हेन यू आर टीनेजर एंड 14 12
Mm-hmm.
प्लस के बाद you can start to get a little more.
Mm-hmm.
um, the thing is, but for adults like you guys, you should know the reality of life itself, because
Mm-hmm.
हम सब mesmerized हैं बहुत सारी चीजों से जहाँ पे हमें नहीं होना चाहिए, is what I'm saying.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Like I think identity crisis जो पूरी दुनिया जा रही है, and it's an important phase for a civilization and the young people to have a strong identity of their own, and it is very important. And whatever you have, उसी में you should be extremely happy, because everybody has a lot of amazing things that
Mm-hmm.
other people find amazing. Not the same person will find everything amazing, but किसी के लिए music is mesmerizing and like insane, and they get
Mm-hmm.
mind आर्ट है, किसी के लिए एक्टिंग है, किसी के लिए कुछ है ना, एक्शन है, स्टंट्स हैं, कुछ भी हो सकता है। पर व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से इज दैट व्हाट अपीयर्स ऑन टीवी स्पेसिफिकली, वहां पे आइडलिज्म नहीं होना चाहिए थोड़ा ना, वो थोड़ा सा मुझे प्रॉब्लम है खुद। आई
Mm-hmm.
डोंट वांट एनीबडी शुड हैव सच आइडल्स दैट यू आर हेड ओवर हील्स ओवर देम, एंड आपकी खुद की आइडेंटिटी और ईगो कंप्लीटली सरेंडर्स इन फ्रंट ऑफ द जस्ट बिकॉज, मतलब फॉर एग्जांपल
Exactly.
एक एक्टर के लिए दूसरे एक्टर की एक्टिंग आई कैन सरेंडर, लाइक इफ आई एम एन एक्टर
Mm-hmm.
एंड आई फाइंड समवन फ्रॉम माय क्राफ्ट व्हिच आई टोटली बिलीव इन, व्हिच आई फॉलो, वहां पे मुझे गॉड लाइक कोई क्रीचर मिलेगा तो मैं तो पूरा
Mm-hmm.
सरेंडर, राइट? बट दैट नॉट हैपन फॉर एनीवन ऑन टीवी, मतलब उसके भी
हाँ, makes sense.
अदरवाइज आपकी आइडेंटिटी कहाँ है, मतलब आपने सबको सरेंडर कर
वही.
दिया है, हु अपीयर्स ऑन टीवी यू सरेंडर टू दैट पर्सन, राइट? देन वेयर इज योर पर्सनल आइडेंटिटी वेयर यू कैन से ओ
Mm-hmm.
आई एम इक्वली इंपॉर्टेंट एज दिस अनदर ह्यूमन बीइंग? फिर तो
Mm-hmm.
the whole human society will go into hierarchy. Where does the equality come from?
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. So उसके लिए बहुत ज़रूरी है कि आपके पास अपनी खुद की एक strong identity होनी चाहिए. And now coming on to the TV, this is where the conflict started. When I got to know that a lot of stuff that will appear on Art Attack, there is a whole team. There's an art team which will be there, okay,
Mm-hmm.
who will have equal or more amount of credit than me. But because I'll appear on TV, तो credit मुझे मिलेगा.
Face
Now
value
that's the
आपकी आएगी.
format of television itself.
Mm-hmm.
Anything appear on TV, you can never trust it in the way that we would like to trust it. And
Mm-hmm.
trust it from that. Yes, somebody is making it. उतना तो सच है. It's not AI generated.
हाँ,
ठीक
right.
है. उतना सच
Back
है.
then it surely isn't.
हाँ, it wasn't.
हाँ.
अब वो भी शायद. But I'm saying, but the kind of emotions we attach, for children, it's right. They should attach those
Mm.
emotions. For adults, you need to understand how things happen because now you're a part of that system.
Makes sense.
So you should know how these systems work, and a lot of human systems right now, especially industrial and commercial and capitalistic systems, are not ideal at all. बहुत politics है, बहुत
Hmm.
ज़्यादा hierarchy है, बहुत ज़्यादा शोबाजी है, बहुत ज़्यादा untruth है, मतलब and people are taking it as a truth. तो वहाँ मुझे problem है. या तो आप सीधा सीधा बोलो कि
Hmm.
yes, everything that you see on this TV is fake. ठीक है, तो ठीक
Hmm.
है, accepted it, fair enough. But don't create that persona which does not exist
Hmm.
because मुझे वैसे कोई दिक्कत नहीं होगी लेकिन that is now influencing too many young people and their decision making is not on the
Yeah.
way they should be. Yeah, they should be a
Hmm.
more. We should have a more intelligent, conscious, emotional, capable young generation. You know,
Makes total sense. Makes total sense.
and if you don't interfere with their thinking, वो अपने आप बन जाते हैं. But your
Hmm.
interference is causing a lot of chaos.
For someone as for someone who thinks as deeply as you, I was expecting कि कहीं पे even मतलब आर्ट अटैक एटलीस्ट हमारे लिए तो बहुत ही क्रेम de la crème बहुत परफेक्टली ट्यून्ड चीज थी हमेशा से. बट आई वॉज एक्सपेक्टिंग कि जब मैं आपसे ये बात करने बैठूंगा तो देयर वुड बी अ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ऑफ सॉर्ट्स कि इट इज नॉट व्हाट इट सीम्स लाइक. एंड इज दैट अ बिग रीजन व्हाई आर्ट अटैक के बाद what a person usually would do is continue in that field, टीवी का कैमरा वाला फील्ड पूरा. Was that the reason why you took a switch, not a switch rather, but then took a detour of sorts?
Yeah, big reason was because I realized कि I as a person would like to work in an industry where things matter, people matter, your
Mhm.
skills matter, you know, because it's when people say, "No, I don't care," I think that's a very dangerous sentence because
Uh,
when you don't care, anything can go wrong and weird around you, and you will not care. So I think
mm,
not become that person as a some people can be, but as a whole country, we
mm,
need to care.
mhm.
Otherwise, तो मतलब you can see
चलिए
what is happening.
सिविलाइजेशन ही कोलैप्स कर जाएगी. हाँ.
Exactly. So my mom said something very interesting that because I posed this question dilemma to my mom. ऐसा
Mm,
होता है ना जब आपके पास ऐसा conscious क्या बोलेंगे your conscience is having a dilemma, then you want someone to
mm,
answer. Mom has been my spiritual leader in that sense. She put me into spirituality early on. I'm really glad she did.
mhm,
And she said, "कोई तो करेगा, ठीक है?
mm.
You will not do it. Somebody will do it. You just make sure you do it well, ठीक है?"
Hey, that's a good
Yeah,
piece of advice. हाँ, हाँ.
and I'm like, my mom gives very like insane wisdom very often. So
Mm.
so
In the
so yeah, I'm
simplest of
like,
words, I must say.
I know. And that is the truth. I'm saying just because something is wrong is happening in the society and you're like, Iska, I'm not a part of this, right?
Mm,
I'm not going to do this. One, great, yes, you are saving yourself from some kind of chaos.
mm,
But at the other end, what my mom said is also true that most of us cannot escape certain
mm,
realities, right?
mm,
I don't join this company, nothing is going to happen to the company. Somebody has to actually go in and make a change. I'm saying instead of
mm,
running away from this thing, I'll give you a very funny analogy, but I think in a positive sense, you should be like a positive virus. Enter
mhm,
the enter the dirt and try to make as many small changes, positive changes as you can from within the
mhm,
system, right? Um, yeah, I think and do such up because you can keep running away to thinking of there is a greener pasture, and you will
mhm,
waste a lot of time. Rather, figure out a way intelligently of how to survive, how to make a still don't lose yourself, and if you don't then automatically you will be a little more kinder to the people around you, and
mhm,
therefore that itself is good enough. I think if you're kind around people and you have managed how to work with different teams and relatives and friends and professionally, I think you have done a good job then.
mhm, mhm,
I think is a major challenge. तो टीवी का यस आई रियलाइज कि टीवी के लिए ना फ्रंट एंड actors and hosts,
mhm,
it's more difficult for them. But for
mhm.
the back sound and mic and camera and direction and all the technical fields, उनके लिए
Scripting.
बढ़िया है. Because
Okay.
their portfolio is same कि मैंने इतने फिल्में करी हैं, ओ मैंने
Mm-hmm.
100 एडिटिंग करी है, oh
Mm-hmm.
great, I can see your work, okay, I can hire you to on the spot, right?
Mm-hmm.
वहां पे सेम कॉर्पोरेट लैडर जो भी होता है, वर्क एक्स कंपाउंडिंग
Mm-hmm.
ओवर टाइम वर्क्स, सेम रूल्स अप्लाई, वहां कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. एक्टर्स में देयर इज नो लॉजिक. लॉजिक इज आइदर व्हाट इज ट्रेंडिंग और इट इज कि हमें कुछ नया चाहिए. सो इवन इफ यू माइट हैव 30 years of experience,
Mm-hmm.
but they're like, we are looking for a fresh face.
Relevance वाली
Your
बात आ जाती है.
so therefore your acting talent, no matter how good you are on stage, does not matter.
Mm-hmm.
And so एक होता है performance based art, right? Performance arts, that is still, there is some logic to it,
Mm-hmm.
but the commercial side of it, that becomes just, it's a very weird. I personally
Mm-hmm.
am not very fond of the systems they have created. The field is brilliant. I respect all
Mm-hmm.
the actors, the host, and everything, but I think the field, and I'm sure most of them will agree that what they have encountered to just keep their art alive because they love acting, they would have sacrificed a lot. It's not
Mm-hmm.
इतना फालतू में sacrifice की जरूरत नहीं थी क्योंकि that is human created conflicts and obstacles that were created over it,
Mm-hmm.
not that it naturally exists in the craft itself.
Mm-hmm. समझ गया. I want to pick a tangent from when we were talking about the positive virus wali analogy. And please excuse me if I'm being too blunt about it, but do you think you were successfully that positive virus in the field of, like जब आप art attack में गए थे तो the conflict you had with TV and what is being shown और जो mindset बैठ रहा है लोगों का. So when you walked in and सालों बाद when you walked out of it, do you think you were successful in being that positive virus, or let's say even a percent of what you would have, ideally wanted? 100 की जगह 1% भी change हुआ, but do you think you made a change in that sense?
Yeah, मतलब, I would like to think so. And it's not कि
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to change the industry and the world. वो उतना तो
हाँ,
जा ही
makes
नहीं
sense.
सकता. You have to understand कि how much impact you can make, and
Mm-hmm.
मैंने सिर्फ you're nice to people around, and that's what I've done. इससे
Mm-hmm.
ज़्यादा मैंने इधर कुछ करा नहीं है. You know what I'm trying to say. But through that,
I get it.
I've made a lot of people, and yeah, I get a lot of love back because of it. Because
Mm-hmm.
throughout my life, I've just tried to be kinder
Mm-hmm.
and be there for people when I can. ऐसा भी है कि अब नहीं है bandwidth, so I'm not there for people, right? And not a
Mm-hmm.
pressure. मतलब मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि it's also a quest to keep things kind of easy for myself,
समझ गया.
because unnecessary conflict किसी को पसंद नहीं है. However, the other side of the story is that I jump into challenging situations,
Okay. हाँ.
not conflicting situations, challenging situations when it is testing me any kind of my capabilities. वहां मैं कूद
Mm-hmm.
कूद के पहुंचूंगा. ठीक है.
Mm-hmm.
Like जैसे मेरे was one, because it's a very unnatural for me. मतलब that situation, money, everything was very challenging in that place, context, environment.
Mm-hmm.
But I would not think twice in that situation. हम
Mm-hmm.
figure out कर लेंगे, मतलब that's not a problem. So art attack को लेके, see, first year was nightmarish because I was trying to learn the craft.
Right.
I was not doing too well either. Time, I was using more time than they had allotted, so which means they had to hire
अच्छा.
the
Okay.
students. Instead of 8-hour acting shifts, we are going into 16-hour shifts, right? एंड वहां पे हमारे
Mm-hmm.
साथ थोड़ा सा सो कॉल्ड फील्स लाइक रेसिज्म भी चल रहा है.
Mm-hmm.
और कुछ तो चल रहा है, मतलब वी आर जस्ट बेसिकली होम सिक एंड रियली अनहैप्पी, यू नो. एंड दिस शूटिंग यूज्ड टू हैपन इन अर्जेंटीना. तो वहां पे बिकॉज ऑफ दैट इट वाज अ प्रॉब्लम. इंडिया में तो नहीं होता बिकॉज then Argentina team was the main thing, people taking care of us and all. So, but
समझ गया.
second and
हाँ.
third was brilliant because there were one or
Mm-hmm.
two people who were causing these problems. Once they were
Okay.
removed, when the problem was identified and they were removed from the second season onwards, it was beautiful. Again, बहुत सारे दोस्त बने हैं. I have a key to my friend, to my makeup artist place. He's a good friend of mine now. So Art Attack का
Mm-hmm.
जो मेरा makeup करता था, Pablo, he's an Argentinian and a photographer
Mm-hmm.
also. So I stayed with him after the shoot, and when I was leaving, they gave me a key, say कि कब जब भी आना है तो आ जाना, because I was locking
Oh, very
behind.
nice.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Still have that key. मैंने कभी तो use करूँगा इसको. I'll go back and use store myself.
Uh,
So have, that ways, I'm really grateful to have amazing people around. I think that is the reward also, and that is the impact also. You just make good,
mm,
meet people, be cordial to them. ऐसा
mm,
deep friendship की जरूरत नहीं है.
mm,
Just don't फालतू में enter everyone's personal space and emotional space, because आपको handle भी करना पड़ेगा वो. So you should know where
right.
to draw the line, you know.
और मेरा अगला मतलब what I was planning to ask you after this was the Jaisalmer वाला bit ही, to go from TV to that clearly shows कि आप कितने devoted हो अपने craft की तरफ. तो take us through वो पूरा journey to when Prologue started. वो बीच का bridge कैसा था? And there was Riverside, there was Byju's as well. Byju's भी वो भी वैसे टाइम पे where Byju's का पूरा bubble भी burst होने वाला था. So there was a lot of controversy, there was a lot of chaos वहाँ पे. Take us through those years.
Um, so like I said that मुझे conflict पसंद नहीं है, लेकिन challenges पसंद है. I think all
Hmm.
these roles I found good enough challenge, therefore I took those roles up. So
Amazing.
from Art Attack I realized कि मीडिया में directly camera facing तो नहीं जाना है, because also I am more of an educator and a teacher than a actor,
A
because
presenter or a host. Hmm.
in the sense philosophically I want to give you what I think is right, like a mom. ठीक है,
Okay.
तुम्हें मनचाहा नहीं मिलेगा, तुम्हें वो मिलेगा जो मुझे
हाँ.
लगता है पहले सही है. ठीक है, and acting does not work like that. If I'm an
Right.
influencer, I have to do trending and like जो पसंद आ,
Hmm.
sure I don't offend too many people and things like that. अब मुझे वो नहीं करना है, मतलब कि मैं तुम्हारे कहने पे तो नहीं करूंगा, मतलब थोड़ा सा ईगो भी होगा
Makes total
मुझे.
sense.
Yeah,
हाँ.
so then I decided, and then at the same time when we launched Art Attack, we were doing a lot of marketing, sales kind of,
Hmm.
not marketing kind of workshops around India.
Hmm.
Not the show.
Okay.
That is the first time. See, acting जब कर रहा था मैं, when I was performing for Art Attack and making things happen there, then I did not have the children facing role,
ठीक
because वो
है.
तो studio में हो रहा है, right? And because
हाँ.
it's an, I can't even get Indian kids there. But now we are actually working with children, addressing them. I'm also learning how to be on stage, talk to a crowd of 500 children, and then work with them. And then I realized कि यार बहुत मजे आते हैं बच्चों के साथ काम करके. Such a
Hmm.
lovely experience. एक तो मुंहफट होते हैं, आपको जो मुंह दिल पे है वो बोल देते हैं, तो वो मुझे बड़ा मजा आता है कि यार ये ऑनेस्ट लोग हैं पूरी धरती में.
Hmm.
और दूसरा, नो मैटर व्हाट creative challenge you give them, उनका जो रिजल्ट है ना, मतलब every time I get shocked कि ये कहाँ से सोच के निकाल रहे हैं ये लोग. ठीक है, and then I'm like too curious. I'm like, ये हैं gods जिनको surrender कर सकते हो in terms of creativity. ठीक है, that is where you're supposed to surrender. तो I'm like, इनके साथ काम करना है मुझे. That's what I realized during Art Attack towards the second third
Hmm.
season. And so I decided कि audience पहले choose कर लिया. Now we'll figure out a job profile around this
Hmm.
audience. Children,
Interesting
whatever
bit.
job profile caters to that audience, was my particular thought.
Hmm.
uh, that's another way of processing, you see. मतलब आप
मैं
generally,
वही देख रहा था. हाँ.
हाँ, and you have the freedom to do so. मतलब किसी ने रोका नहीं है
Hmm.
आपको, आपको सोचना
Right.
पड़ेगा. Right?
Hmm.
So then I started doing a lot of workshop for children. At that time, we had Thoughts and Goals with another of my partner. Thoughts and Goals had a makerspace in Bangalore, and we were doing a lot of these workshops and experiences around making and art and design for almost 7 years. And then I realized that I'm working with children, लेकिन ना एक दिन 1 घंटा 2 घंटा 3 घंटा से ज़्यादा मुझे टाइम नहीं मिलता है with a particular
Hmm.
child. So I cannot map how that does that child develop. I cannot assess
समझ गया. हाँ.
learning journey of a child if I'm just working with them 1 hour or 2 hour. I'm like, then where do I find them? School was the
Cool.
natural thought that occurred to me कि school जाना पड़ेगा
Hmm.
वापस, right?
Hmm.
And I was landing in Ahmedabad, and I realized कि during the time of Art Attack, I had worked with a school called Riverside. Um,
अच्छा. Okay.
there, there was a collaboration between Disney and Riverside, and I was brought in as a host.
Hmm.
And then I realized, यहाँ तो school है. And then Kiran, who runs the school, is also an alumni of NID. So she's our alumni
Oh,
as well,
okay.
right? So I remembered that and I figured out her contact. I emailed her. She was not there. She was coming back after a couple of months. Then I talked to her again. I went to Ahmedabad, talked to her in her school, and they hired me basically. And
Mm-hmm.
after hiring, then they said, कि, oh, there is a requirement of a class teacher in grade 4. कि
Okay.
करना चाहोगे? And like, why not? मतलब I generally don't say no unless I have a good reason. अगर reason नहीं
Mm-hmm.
है मना करने का तो हाँ ही है मतलब by default. तो I'm like why not? Because like I said कि कुछ नहीं ही किया है ना वहाँ पे curiosity रहती है कि अरे class teacher कैसे बनते हैं. So I became a class teacher and that was a brilliant again
Mm,
adventure. So I had a co-teacher called Prerna. She was from Teach for India and उनकी
okay.
stories अलग ही level of reality से आ रही हैं कि how does a municipal school जहाँ Teach for India के faculty पढ़ा रहे हैं. Dude, faculties are harassed, ठीक है मतलब the
Mm-hmm.
children are coming from a very tough background and it has completely changed how we think children should be because उनकी reality इतनी harsh है, इतने abusive
Mm-hmm.
environment से आ रहे हैं बच्चे and the teachers have to face the brunt of it eventually, right? So I learned a lot from her, and then we together handled a bunch of 27 students in grade 4 in Riverside.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I'm so grateful because I got the superpowers of how to handle younglings, ठीक है? And they're wild, they're very wild. 9 and 10 year old जो age होता है ना वो
Mm-hmm.
काफी बढ़िया wild होते हैं. They're not completely tamed, they're not completely innocent. वो बीच का एक wilding phase होता है तो I kind of loved it and या तो सुपर पावर्स आ जाते हैं आपके पास कि हाउ टू हैंडल अ क्लास उनके उनके केओस के बीच में से आपकी आवाज चीरते हुए जानी चाहिए मतलब वो कैसे
Mm-hmm.
है यू गेट अ टीचर्स वॉइस एंड आफ्टर कंट्रोलिंग लाइक 20-30 किड्स उसके बाद पूरी धरती के लोग ना आसान लगते हैं हैंडल करना ये है सुपर पावर मैं बता रहा हूँ सो एंड आई लव देम अ लॉट मतलब खाना भी बनाता था और during my farewell they gave me a very lovely farewell जिसमें मेरे I used to come by my bike so helmet के अंदर they put a lot of notes and then I cooked for them I cooked them pasta I cooked pizzas for the whole rest of the staff and faculties like सबके toaster मंगाए कि सब मुझे अपने ovens दो and I put multiple ovens and line trip कर रहे हैं because इतना load on a
Uh,
school not happening but again I'm baking pizzas for the teachers for the
mm,
staff drivers and so I had a lovely exit and then I had already realized that I was already undergoing world of education training.
mhm.
The
Okay.
world of schools are alternative schools like Montessori or Chitta Krishnamurti schools. These are based on different
समझ
people's
गया.
philosophy, right? And so Steiner schools बोल सकते हैं, world of schools बोल सकते हैं. So I was already undergoing training and I now wanted to join a world of school. And I talked to my mentors and mentors said कि देखो इंडिया में ये सारे स्कूल हैं वर्ल्ड ऑफ एंड
Mm,
इसमें से ये स्कूल विल वांट अ प्रायर ट्रेन्ड वर्ल्ड ऑफ टीचर वो तुम्हें नहीं लेंगे तो दैट इज ऑलरेडी कट फ्रॉम द लिस्ट बाकी स्कूल ये बचे हैं और उसमें से एक नाम था दरबारी वर्ल्ड ऑफ स्कूल विच वाज इन जैसलमेर द ओनली
okay.
रूरल स्कूल पॉसिबली इन एशिया द रूरल इन द सेंस we understand rural in India it could have a different meaning
समझ गया हाँ.
पर तुम्हें ना ये कुछ इंटरेस्टिंग लग रहा है बिकॉज एक आई अंडरस्टैंड द Indian education system, how most of them undergo. People don't go to private school largely in India.
Hmm.
Largely, I'm
Hmm.
saying.
Hmm. Hmm.
Even if it is a private school, वो नाम का भी private हो सकता है. मतलब it can be run. But
सेमी
yeah,
प्राइवेट भी हो सकता है
आपका
हाँ.
कोई connection नहीं है कि अच्छा कौन सा बुरा कौन सा है. That is true because I find Kendra Vidyalaya to be brilliant, Navodaya Vidyalaya to be
Hmm.
brilliant as government undertakings. But
Hmm.
but point being that so that चमका कि यार एक बार में I can understand so many different things and I went there. Uh, I found their contact, I messaged them, emailed them, reply didn't come, so I literally saw them on Google Map and I reached school premise and said मुझे आपके साथ काम करना है. And they were a little shocked, but yeah, they said एक काम करते हैं, then I should work with them for a week and then take a call. मतलब they
Okay
will also take,
हाँ.
they will check, evaluate, and they were happy. So I started working there,
Hmm.
and वहाँ के अलग ही कुछ bizarre story चल रही है because उतने इंटीरियर में basically in certain part of India child marriages are very common especially for girls right that is happening all around you um, बहुत कुछ चल रहा है मतलब our own students are getting engaged at what like 14-15 ठीक है, we are also kind of trying to fight it and stop the procession, like तो वो सब वहाँ पे मतलब reality था, like those kind of situations. And I was kind of a negotiator on behalf of the school to the village,
Mm,
because I had come
mm,
from outside. Also, I can maintain my calm.
mm,
So I would go and negotiate कि ये पंगा हो गया है. So now the thing is कि
mm.
school is also from the same community. They don't want to get into an emotional,
Makes sense. How?
yeah, social conflict. So I will go negotiate and talk to them, and then वो सुलह कर रहे हैं, things are happening
Mm,
like that. So yeah, so those, and you're teaching मतलब अब स्टेट बोर्ड का सब्जेक्ट्स आप पढ़ रहे हो, एंड
mm,
इट्स ऑल इन हिंदी. और मेरी हिंदी वोकैबुलरी इतनी भी सॉलिड नहीं है कि मुझे सारे वर्ड्स पता होंगे. तो आई हैव
uh,
अ गूगल ट्रांसलेट इन माय हैंड, एंड द वर्ड्स आई कैन नॉट अंडरस्टैंड. मैं इंग्लिश उनको हिंदी में करके देन आई एम टेलिंग द स्टूडेंट्स.
uh,
सोशल साइंसेस पढ़ा रहे हैं वहाँ पे. आई एम अ कॉमर्स स्टूडेंट इन रिवरसाइड. आई टॉट साइंस बिकॉज आई लव दीज सब्जेक्ट्स. Just, of course, I did not study it formally, but grade 4 science
mm,
is pretty easy to crack. And I can bring my designerly and storytelling and those things and integrate
mm,
full, teaching. So yeah, so then I went to Jaisalmer, and I realized that, well, of course, I was earning less than I was spending, right? And
mm,
I had only limited budget, so I said, "Ek saal baad ke baad," I said, now I need to go back and start earning money because this is not sustainable.
mm.
ये भी एक reality है. Even if you want to do good work, मतलब
वही
firstly,
मैं आपसे पूछने ही वाला था इस बारे में कि even if you are so devoted, but it begs the question कि how did you pay your bills
exactly.
जब इतना
नहीं,
आप
so
सोच कर रहे हैं. हाँ.
only 7-8 years after heart attack, which means you understand.
हम्म,
Initial phase of it because your expenses are low and your lifestyle is simpler. But
हम्म,
later, more and more difficult. So I understood those things. इसलिए I tell
हम्म,
students कि पहले 10 साल में आपको जितने exploration adventures करने हैं in terms of your profession कर लो. Because बाद में आपको वो सारा experience लेने का
हम्म,
मौका नहीं मिलेगा, because you will be stuck with too many obligations and loans and this and that, and you'll only be tied down. Luckily, I've not,
हम्म,
never taken any kind of loan or majorly ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं है, तो I could take my free decisions in that sense.
हम्म,
And yeah, so Jaisalmer happened, and then I joined. I went to Jaipur to join Institute of Design because they were starting a design college. It was still not
अच्छा. Okay.
made, created. So I'm like, यहाँ पे institution building का मौका मिलेगा, तो let's do this. So I joined them. I also wanted to come back to design because मैं बहुत ज़्यादा ना school setup and children के आसपास था, missing the
हम्म. Digress कर गया था.
level of thinking in that sense, more challenging tasks. So different age group में भी आपको learning का और teaching का एक अलग experience मिलता है, right? So that happened for 2 years. Then COVID happened. Then I joined Byju's. They actually
हम्म,
approached, not applied from my own end, but
okay.
they wanted to develop a animation program for children. उसकी detail में
हम्म,
नहीं जाऊँगा, but in short, I'll tell you that what I've experienced by Byju is, one, it was remote. That's why I was pretty happy there.
हम्म,
Office situation तो उतना amazing नहीं था उनका, मतलब physical office में
हम्म,
बैठना, like long table, tons of people walking on your
हम्म,
back. Was not very happy with that setup, but I had an amazing experience at while working for Byju's, regardless of
okay.
whether they trouble the customers, the stakeholders, the
हम्म,
investors. part लगा दी इन लोगों ने. um, you know किसी को नहीं छोड़ा, अपने employees को नहीं छोड़ा, like children, मतलब they did not leave anybody troubled. But
हम्म,
I personally had an amazing time at Byju's because my boss
okay.
was amazing, my teammates were
हम्म,
amazing, सब लोग बढ़िया थे. हम सब लोग बैठ के, बिकॉज हमारा जोन क्या है, वी आर नॉट द पॉलिसी मेकर ऑफ द कंपनी, वी आर नॉट सीएक्सओ लेवल,
हम्म,
राइट? हमारा काम है एनिमेशन प्रोग्राम बनाना है बच्चों के लिए. दैट्स अ बैटल फील्ड. एंड बिकॉज वी
हम्म,
ऑल आर सिंग्ड एंड वी ऑल आर लाइक ऐसा ईगो रखे नहीं है, एंड so we all are working towards one goal and we all are having fun, and we all are
हम्म,
evolving, sharing. So that's a reality that you can't go after a brand when you're working for something. You have to go thinking कि वहाँ बंदा कौन बैठा है, तो उल्टा इंटरव्यू ले लिया करो
हम्म,
team that you're going to work with.
हाँ.
Understand जो इंसान कैसा है, study body language, study the person, ask some tough questions, see how they answer,
हम्म,
just to align कि देखो this is the way I work. And so I'm trying to say that sometimes you are mesmerized by the brand, but that has nothing to do with how you're going to actually experience that company. That will
हम्म,
completely the people, those 5-10 people around you.
Hmm, makes sense. Honestly, I was expecting कि शायद this might be a second, you know, canonical point जहाँ पे conflict आएगा फिर से. But I was pretty surprised by the answer that you had a wonderful time at Byju's.
या एग्जैक्टली। बट मैं एक हफ्ता गया था बाईजू ऑफिस में, वहां तो मुझे बिल्कुल पसंद
Hmm.
नहीं आया।
Okay.
बट अगेन लोग तो वही थे, इट्स जस्ट द ऑफिस
Hmm.
अगेन। सिस्टम एनवायरनमेंट उन लोगों ने बहुत ऐसा सैड आईटी कंपनी बना रखा था उसको।
Hmm.
बट एंड आल्सो ह्यूज, मतलब 7,000 people in a building, so food के टाइम पे then there is a huge, it's that's a
Hmm. समझ रहा हूँ हाँ.
nothing wrong, ठीक है, Indian population is huge and you'll find these things, but I think again यहाँ पे system design वाली बात आती है, how well have you designed your systems, how much deep have you gone to resolve the nuances of a large
Hmm.
population at one building. कुछ लेवल तक करते हैं डेफिनेटली, बट आई थिंक
Hmm.
गैप बहुत बड़ा है।
प्रायोरिटी लिस्ट पे बहुत ऊपर नहीं होती होगी वो चीजें तब.
सोच में नहीं
Hmm.
आता, प्रायोरिटी में तो तब आएगा जब सोच में हो और वो बोले नहीं ये हम बाद में करेंगे, आई तो
Hmm.
उनका है कि इतना दे दिया, खाना दे दिया, टॉयलेट दे दिया, साफ कर देंगे, खाना दे देंगे, बस हो गया, बस उनको बिठा दो, चेयर है, टेबल है, बिठा दो, दे विल वर्क। वो लोगों को एक्सपीरियंस तो बहुत दूर की बात है, मतलब यू नो।
Hmm. समझ रहा हूँ. तो वहां पे भी आप एनिमेशन कर रहे थे, आपका मतलब शुरुआत ही आपके एनिमेशन से हुई थी, यू गॉट इनटू एनआईडी बिकॉज यू वर इन लव विद एनिमेशन. कोई ऐसी बहुत फेवरेट पिक है आउट ऑफ मूवीज या कुछ जो आपको लगता है इज द बाइबल ऑफ सॉर्ट्स व्हेन इट कम्स टू एनिमेशन?
वैसे मैं किसी भी चीज के बारे में ऐसा नहीं बोलूंगा कि वन थिंग दैट
ओके.
कैन समराइज,
हम्म.
राइट, बट या, लाइक द एनिमेशन व्हिच मूव्ड मी एज अ चाइल्ड वाज जंगल बुक। ठीक है, स्वॉट कैट्स भी देखते थे, मतलब दैट लव फॉर
हम्म.
एनिमेशन वाज व्हाट। जंगल बुक में स्कूल छोड़ के भाग गया था एक टाइम पे बिकॉज ऑफ जंगल बुक, तो आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड हाउ इंपॉर्टेंट दैट वाज फॉर मी
हाँ.
इन फर्स्ट ग्रेड, यू
ओके.
नो। मैं लगा हाँ चलो है, पावरफुल थी वो, इवन इफ एट
हम्म.
दैट पॉइंट मैं आर्टिकुलेट नहीं कर पाऊंगा एज अ चाइल्ड वो क्या बोलता,
हम्म.
बट
हम्म.
देन ग्रेव ऑफ फायरफ्लाइज वाज वन व्हिच मूव्ड मी अ लॉट। मतलब फूट फूट के रोया था मैं वो picture देख के। यू शुड चेक इट आउट, इट्स अ वेरी, it's a tough, bits of the movie are tough to watch, but otherwise
व्हाट
it's a
वाज द
beautiful,
नेम? ग्रेव ऑफ बटरफ्लाइज?
no, Grave of the Fireflies.
फायरफ्लाइज. ओके. ओके.
Yeah, Grave of the Fireflies.
हम्म.
uh, yeah, most of you will cry, especially the boys.
ओके. इंटरेस्टिंग.
Yeah,
हम्म.
and yeah, and otherwise they're good movies, tons of
हम्म.
them, animes
आपने
I
कार्स
love।
देखी है?
कार्स देखी
कार्स
है,
देखी?
या
अच्छी लगती है?
मतलब अगेन अगर रिव्यू चाहिए तो मुझे फ्रेशली दिखाना पड़ेगा बिकॉज अभी वो
हाँ.
फिजल हो गया पूरा
मेक
ना, तो
सेंस. हाँ 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 हाँ.
डिटेल्स नहीं है मेरे दिमाग में। I also watch a lot of mindless, like, हाँ सिनेमा में, मतलब when I watch good cinema I'm sitting with people like with my
हम्म.
wife, like NID में बहुत अच्छा good cinema दिखाया है, otherwise I don't watch good cinema। मैं बहुत थोड़ा a lot of anime, a lot of action, mindless मुझे पसंद है,
हम्म.
because I think I otherwise do deep thinking तो ना उसके बाद मुझे नहीं जाना है। I don't want
हाँ.
to
ओके.
revisit all
हाँ.
these emotions again, मेरा है कि नहीं, मतलब इसमें आप सुपरफिशियल लेवल पे रहेंगे। आई
हम्म.
डोंट वांट टू गो बिकॉज वो मुझे दुनिया का वो केस देख के ही, मतलब मैं आई एब्सॉर्ब ऑल द एम्पैथी फ्रॉम देयर एंड सैडनेस, तो मुझे और नहीं चाहिए उसके बाद। बट
तो आप
मियाजाकी
एक्शन
है,
मूवीज भी देखते हो? लाइक आर यू फैन
या
पर से?
लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल द ओरिजिनल प्रेडेटर आई लव्ड,
हाँ. ओ
टर्मिनेटर,
माय डैड लव्स इट.
या मैन, these are classics, मतलब बहुत ही मजेदार। देन आई सम सॉ अगेन सम प्रेडेटर सीक्वेंस रिसेंटली, आई कैन वॉच।
हाँ. प्रे आई थी रिसेंटली एक. पापा मेरे को लेके गए थे जबरदस्ती वो देखने के लिए.
Okay. And then I think like Guardians of Galaxy, like
हाँ.
it's a fun movie. You know, that's what I'm
हम्म.
saying. It's not a masterpiece classic of cinema. It's not,
हम्म.
but it's a fun movie. So I like those things. I don't like Marvel and DC too much now because
अच्छा. ओके.
इतना predictability है ना American cinema in
फेयर
general.
फेयर फेयर.
It is way too predictable, मतलब,
हम्म.
and मतलब I can't do same thing again and again. So
मेक सेंस. मेक सेंस.
थोड़ा सा मेरा, I'm not very impressed with it.
हम्म. आपने बीच में when we were talking about the wisdom you got from your mother, You said that she got you into spirituality and you were glad that she did. तो उस पे थोड़ा would you shed light? Do you believe in God per se?
So when I started, I had a problem with the concept of God as portrayed by the people and my country, let's just say.
Okay.
Larger जो ये worship है around gods and religion, even as a child I had a problem with that. I'm like ये क्या हो रहा है मतलब, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The child version of me was could perceive it more clearly. I'm saying. So I
Mm-hmm.
had a problem with the वही concept of God है. There is no other version of God that exists. Let's say
Mm-hmm.
either this religion or this religion, this religion.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Whether there is a form or there is no form doesn't matter. But ultimately, there is this hard-bound box, जिसमें सब, you know,
Mm-hmm.
there is no freedom of interpretation. At least I'm saying not to the core teaching of the possibly religion, let's say God, but the people who
Mm-hmm.
are following. Because the people who are following are
Okay. Okay.
propagating. Right? ट्रू
ठीक
मीनिंग
है.
का तो कुछ नहीं हो सकता. द लार्जर
Mm-hmm.
पॉपुलेशन जिन्होंने तो लॉ बना के डाल दिया है वही फिर सच है,
Mm-hmm.
यू नो, बिकॉज
Makes sense. Huh?
so yeah, so I was little repulsed by the concept of this thing. I did I think believe in higher power in that something of
Mm-hmm.
the. And then my mother is like, this is pranic healing. She did it, and a lot of our family members did. She like, तुझे करना पड़ेगा. मतलब, and this is when I went first year of college. I went back home after a
Mm-hmm.
semester. मतलब मुझे नहीं करना है तो, and she's again another dialogue. She's like, I'm paying for it. What is your problem? ना मैं पैसे दे. I'm like, I'm like, fair enough. You're paying for it, so I cannot resist too much. And I
Mm-hmm.
went. And first year के बाद, the first pranic healing course I did, the basics. I was like, okay, मतलब, because I was coming from a non-belief point of view and a
Mm-hmm.
resistance. I'm like, ठीक है. And then she would call when I was in college कि तू meditate कर रहा है. कभी कभी कर लेंगे, साल में एक दो बार कर लिया, दो तीन बार कर लिया, right?
Mm-hmm.
That practices and all. Then next year, then next semester के बाद मैं वापस घर गया, and she like वापस advanced course में जा. Then I resisted, but there was less resistance this time, so I went for advanced course.
Mm-hmm.
This time I could feel something in
Mm-hmm.
terms of, because they teach us how to scan and how to basically using your super sensory tactile senses to scan, right? And I could feel something. And otherwise, I'm from a pragmatic rejectionist point of view now. But if I'm feeling it,
Mm-hmm.
then I won't deny it. I'm not going to fool myself.
Right.
इतना नहीं है मतलब. Then though you can fool yourself about anything. फिर अपने
Hmm.
भरोसे करेंगे
फिर वो
क्योंकि sense.
pragmatism वाली लाइन भी छूट ही जाती है if you are that hell bent on, telling a lie to yourself.
हाँ मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ. You can lie to yourself about anything. Believing something or
Mm-hmm.
rejecting. Ultimately, that's the thing. So how do you know that you are not lying to yourself? You know. So
Hmm.
you have to really reach a neutral point जहाँ पे आप like a scientist बैठ के evaluate कर रहे हो. ये chemical mix किया, ये chemical mix किया, फिर
Hmm.
observe क्या हो रहा है उससे. Reading ले रहे हो, right? It's nothing to do with your belief system then. It's what
Hmm.
you're experimenting with and what result is coming. It's between that and you and nothing else. You're not catering to your mother or your guru or your science
Hmm.
teacher. कोई मैटर नहीं करता. It's between you and objectively studying something. So once I started feeling that, it became like a self momentum. I started experimenting, meditating more because I'm like, कुछ तो चल रहा है, कुछ तो चल रहा है. Let's
Hmm.
investigate this realm. And it then slowly, yeah, eventually, between for over a decade, like my mother would take me then for retreats and this and that. So I kept revisiting it.
Hmm.
We to a third year, I started meditating a little too much.
Okay.
And then I'm like, I almost went ascetic कि छोड़ देंगे, अब सीधा पहाड़ चले जाएंगे ग्रेजुएशन के बाद. Like वहां तक पहुंच गया था बात की. I'm like, it's
हाँ हाँ हाँ.
a valid checkpoints.
Hmm. Okay.
Because when you actually study spirituality of any religion, it will go into metaphysical and it questions the
Hmm.
physical life and then souls
Material
come,
existence और हाँ.
start exploding. Then you're like, point ही क्या है फिर? मतलब
Right.
कुछ control में ही नहीं है तो point ही क्या है, right?
Hmm.
Right? That becomes the classic this thing. And then very soon after I was hitting this stage, heart attack happened. All right.
Hmm.
So because life did not want me to escape the reality so soon, अभी वो है ना अभी picture बाकी है types. It put me down to the most obnoxious
Most
materialistic
materialist
thing that can happen to someone, which is TV, film, line,
TV.
camera,
हाँ.
fame, followers, whatever, and so that was very interesting. That is like, you know, and
Hmm.
actually, I did not choose that line. मतलब कई बार होता है ना, अच्छा वो नया line खुला है कि from design you went there.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
self built into education and learning through children, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So that's the kind of trajectory that went by
Hmm.
and the role of spirituality. Then along the decades that like I'm 40 now and I must have learned pranic healing start like around 1920, right?
Okay.
I practiced very little, but the compounded effect of 20 years,
Uh,
that's good enough. So I've come out of a lot of problems because of it, because it's largely when it troubles you. See,
hmm.
life and situation बहुत कम लोग के साथ हो रही है at any given point of time, right? That is what requires immediate medical attention. You need to get help. You need to escape,
Hmm.
survive. That is when I say little. Yes, there are countries at war, but I'm saying if you remove those human-made disasters,
Hmm.
otherwise it's not a natural key. Every day you have to survive. It could be
Hmm.
a reality for many people on Earth, but not the majority of population still,
Hmm.
right? So most of the problem that we are facing is largely emotional, mental. Usme, and that becomes life-threatening because you're not taking care of it, and it's compounding again, and it
Hmm. Hmm.
goes into depression. You cannot come out. Then whether it goes into suicidal thoughts, which a lot of us go through, but
Hmm.
most of us don't act on it. I will agree that I've definitely thought about things, right? But I'm pretty sure, even as a glimpse of something, people at times of कि खत्म करो यार, मतलब, even when you say
Hmm.
it,
Hmm. Hmm.
that is big enough a change that you have said it. मतलब आपको
Ha ha
thought
ha.
it, even if it is a little tiny bit of it. But acting on it is the major. Most of the people don't act on it, and it's just a small
Hmm.
phase that goes away. But when people act on it, that happens after a long time
Hmm.
of
Holding it
undergoing.
in.
So definitely the meditations that pranic healing got me. And like I said, no. So even the different schools of spirituality are catering to different personalities that exist on earth.
Hmm.
Like another school might not have reached out to how I understand life, because I experiment, I play with material, I'm a bit of science and bit of art. So
Hmm.
pranic healing is a modality of school. वो लोग ना सबको थोड़ा साइंटिफिकली उन्होंने वो कर रखा है.
Okay.
Mention of God will not come very often. Rarely it might
Hmm.
come,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
or prayer में आ सकता है. But otherwise, when you're going through the key how to heal someone, it's all technical steps. पहले आपको ऐसे क्लीन करना है, फिर उसमें ये एनर्जी डालनी है,
Hmm.
फिर आपको ये वाला ऑर्गन क्लीन करना है, फिर ये ऑर्गन क्लीन करना है. It's almost like a medical procedure that you're undergoing.
Hmm.
So that and light को समझना है, एनर्जी को, तो okay, you can split into multiple colors, and each color of light has a different property. So if I
Hmm.
give this light green color light, your cells will react a different way. If you add
Makes sense.
light light on it, your cells and organs will start reacting a different way.
Hmm.
So you should also know what not to do. That's why those steps are so important.
Hmm. Hmm.
Once
Hmm.
a month, just follow the steps, because things can have a harmful effect. Now that is when it
Hmm.
tells me that ये knowledge बढ़िया है, because how can there be something which does not have ill effects?
Ah.
Everything has two effects at the same time, right? While it
Hmm.
could be healing me, but it could be also destroying a bacteria. I'm saying, matlab,
Hmm.
so
Hmm. Hmm.
somebody is also
Ah.
hurt in the process now. Like
Hmm.
antibiotics fixes you. At what cost? It has killed like a huge range of your good biome and bacterial biome that exists in
Hmm.
you, which you might take years to regain back.
Right.
So if you don't get the complete picture, then there is something wrong. I'm saying.
Hmm. So it
So even
catered to your scientific side
yeah,
of things. So इसलिए
yeah.
got to attract. Makes a lot of sense. आपने briefly mention किया and feel free to skip the question if you are. आपने briefly mention किया about having thoughts, not so good thoughts. Would you want to share something कि क्या phases थे वो, किन वजह से वो हुआ?
Well, generally, I'm trying to think. So largely in my life, I have been emotionally stable. In the sense कि,
Okay.
in fact, opposite with her, things would not affect me emotionally much. So I
Hmm.
could maintain my mindset. I'm not going through a lot of crashes and highs and मतलब
समझ गया.
बहुत लंबे टाइम के लिए basically.
Hmm.
खुश हूँ, and those were my keywords to live my life by during college also. कि happy, like खुश
Hmm.
रहना, right? Um, but the thing is, times will come when you are supposed to, hit the ground or hit the fan,
Hmm.
what you call it. तो एक चीज गलत नहीं होती है, वो पूरी लाइफ में हर चीज ही मतलब स्टार्ट्स क्रैशिंग डाउन और व्हाटएवर, मतलब
Hmm.
रीजन इज नॉट इम्पोर्टेंट, दैट
Hmm.
फीलिंग। तो एक दो
समझ
बार
रहा हूँ,
हुआ,
हाँ।
इनफैक्ट mach after college I used to feel emotions are like a obstacle in human evolution, ये सोच थी, सोचो मेरी, ठीक है, बिकॉज
That
आई
is
वाज,
surprising.
मैं मस्त हूँ, मैं खुश हूँ, बट
Hmm.
बाकी लोग क्यों इतने मरे पड़े कटे पड़े हैं बिकॉज ऑफ इमोशंस, लाइक
Hmm.
हो गया, ब्रेकअप हो गया, जो भी हो गया, just because I was managing, I could not see the effects on me. I
Hmm.
would automatically deduct or deduce rather कि emotions are bad because सब लोग परेशान हैं
हाँ,
उससे.
समझ रहा हूँ.
You understand? That was the logic. And then I found a place in Bangalore which was called Feel and Heal, and I took my cousin because my cousin at some point of time had some, mental breakdown, and
Okay.
I was like, okay, इनको help करने के लिए. So he did not join the course. I did, for some
Okay.
reason. I think was the reason also that my partner at that point of time was an empath, and that's when I came to know about empathy and who empaths were, and
Hmm.
that. So I knew that emotion is a major part of our life. So I'm like, chalo, let me also
Hmm.
understand them deeper. वाली बात थी, है ना? So
समझ
I
रहा हूँ.
joined the course, and 3 days, 3 में से 2 दिन तो मैं रो ही रहा था उसमें, ठीक है? Because I'm taking notes and all, ना, मतलब मैं notes ले रहा हूँ, teacher
Hmm.
कुछ, and I'm taking notes, but I'm crying for 2 days, and that's when I realized कि I don't know why I'm crying, ठीक है? But I realized कि whether I believe in emotions or not, they are,
They
मतलब
are a
their
part of.
existence is a solid truth. It
Hmm.
doesn't matter whether I believe वो अंदर बैठे हुए हैं, and they're coming out also, and it's sad that something inside of me I didn't realize exists,
Hmm.
right? So that day, it's not I became overtly emotional, but I became overtly sensitive to the
Sensitive.
topic
हाँ.
or emotion themselves. In the sense में लगे यार ये important चीज है. Once you think something is interesting and important, automatically
Hmm.
that's a part of your life as well. Again,
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
not कि आप empath बन गए हैं, नहीं होगा ऐसा. Your
समझ रहा हूँ.
construct will remain the same. At least you were blocking a lot of things. That blocks are removed, and now you have a more complex life, which is
Hmm.
good.
Hmm.
If you can bring simplicity to a complex life, or rather, to put it in a better way, if you can create a simple system to handle complex things about life,
Hmm.
मतलब mastery आ गई आपके पास ना, तो
Hmm.
तब you allow those
Streamline
things
कर दिया
to,
आपने.
and you have to allow those things to become a part of the system, go through the chaos and conflict, then slowly try
Hmm.
to, it's not key. So whenever you make a new friend, you also have to get used to living with a new friend, or
Hmm. Hmm.
तो ऐसा नहीं है कि सब कुछ अच्छा ही होता है. Everything has like two, like I said, everything comes with like at least two effects at the
Hmm.
same time. Very contradictory, very opposing
Right.
forces, and you have to accept both at the same time.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. Do you read a lot of books?
No,
Oh,
I think I have dyslexia. I cannot
okay.
handle, and I missed. अब ये भी है ना problem as a designer, because I could not read too many books. My
Hmm.
knowledge is limited because people who do read, there is a definitive edge that they
Hmm.
carry as a professional. So to all people who could be listening, like there's no alternative for a book. Digital, analog doesn't matter. Like I can
Hmm.
read
Hmm.
physical books better than I can read digital. Digital even worse
Okay.
for me. तो वो है. When I see too much text,
Hmm.
मेरा brain ऐसे shut down करने लग जाता है कई बार. Like
Hmm.
just a
Why? बोलिए.
glimpse of.
हाँ, नहीं, मैं बस वही कह रहा था कि why I asked you this was क्योंकि you had such a deeper view than most people about things and such a critical view as well. Though I had this assumption that maybe you read a lot, but it was a fair surprise.
No, it's
You
because
don't.
I. एक है, okay. There are multiple ways of learning. Books are one of the best
Hmm.
ways that you can just absorb someone's experience and knowledge, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
तो स्पिरिचुअल बुक्स मैंने काफी पढ़ी हैं. अगेन द
Hmm.
टॉपिक्स व्हिच
Hmm.
आई रियली रेजोनेट विद, वहां पे आई हैव रेड सम फिक्शन आल्सो, ऐसी बात नहीं है.
Hmm.
मुराकामी, एंड देन spiritual books, of course. What else did I read?
Hmm.
Small books like Little Prince and Animal Farm and stuff like that, but I can literally count those books possibly in my
Hmm.
life. Then I do read books which are connected to my domain, learning, for example.
Yeah.
Reading a book there. Um, but what I was trying to say was, I have been validating life very closely, observing people, testing out
Mm,
things, and वहाँ से एक. So what I'm talking about is
समझ रहा
coming
हाँ.
experiences synthesized and a little validating it through practical
Mm,
application in that sense.
mm,
So yeah, stay connected. कभी भी कुछ problem है तो do a
बिल्कुल
shout out. है ना?
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल सर. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर बीइंग हियर ऑन ए संडे. मैंने आपकी ट्रिप के बीच में आपको परेशान कर दिया, बट दिस वाज सच अ ब्यूटीफुल एपिसोड. थैंक यू फॉर बीइंग हियर सर.
Most welcome, Sparsh. See you.
चलो, सी यू अराउंड. बाय बाय. हैव फन.